Hello all, happy Friday, and hopefully we'll have a great final weekend for season 44. I was able to play a bit more. I did fill out of Legendary as I was trying to collect those chests, but after a bit of struggle, I finally got back into Legendary 2, and I'll be able to collect my 2 time chests which had accumulated in that time. It's always good to get those 10 extra keys compared to the diamond rank. In terms of what I'll do is I'll pick up the Doom Cannon, and then I will prioritize what sort of multi-nodes I need to get. I think a lot of people have opted for the Boom Cannon multi-node over here, plus not this one, not that great, plus probably this one with the 2 machine guns too. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll just check it out a little bit and see what the top leaderboard has. In terms of the log, 3 losses. This one was a poor hit by me. Didn't really manage it very well. Troops went all over the place. Lost by 1 second. That's always tough, but it is what it is. This player really did a superb time on me. I thought with 2 minutes 3 on a spread base it would be sufficient, but it just wasn't. The player did have like extra defenses which I do need to take care of, the Doom Cannon and the extra BC. So it does take a bit of time. Hopefully now that I can do those unlocks, I can be competitive again. It's been a real grind to collect chests and Legendary, but so it is. I'll go through some of my replays because a few new bases have emerged. This is quite recent too, with the Sky Shield in the middle, protecting the rocket launchers, the Doom Cannon, and the Shock Launcher as well. And this one I opted to go with the Bomber play. I was just experimenting since I was already losing my previous battles. I thought, why not? Let's try some new attacks and share with you all and see if these would be helpful for you too. So I'm doing a typical sort of a spread hit. My bombers are really low on health because obviously everyone has 100 DBD right now, and the one shot from mortars, it doesn't kill them, but it does do quite a lot of damage to the bombers. Just working my way up, did lose command early. That was okay though. Because by the time command died, I still had enough troops in terms of the bombers as well as a bit of meat shield, which protected them long enough. And then I'm just doing a final flare. Always dicey to have all of these bombers with little health and nothing much to protect them, but generally it's okay to take that risk. Medkit would be super useful, that's for sure. Maybe I need to consider getting medkit as well, but let's see. Okay, so this is the typical sort of layout which most of the people have been running over several days. The replay will start in a bit, and on this one I am doing 2 boats of bombers with 3 boats of heavy choppers and lasers. These hits are more about GB management, to be honest. I don't think there's a great way to do them, or at least I haven't found what's the perfect way to do them. But I try to keep the rocket launchers pinned down, the Doom Cannon pinned down, distract them with critters, do a second win as my bombers or lasers start to die out, and then just keep an eye on the board overall in terms of what's happening. I do like to group my troops together because obviously, as you know, the lasers do have more accumulated power rather than an individual laser ranger trying to take down a building. And I did get lucky over here because the opponent tried to use Seekers and he fizzled. Not to say that Seekers do not work, Seekers do work quite well. I think the opponent just got slightly unlucky with his hit. Otherwise he would have definitely beat me on time. 1 minute loss, 1 second loss, so we'll skip that. We'll go back to this new compact, which I think one of you even asked me in the comments on YouTube. I'll just slow it down for the initial bit. I'm using primarily heavy choppers and bombers over here, using a beach defense to flare and ensure that my bombers don't go too far up. And then using shocks to keep the Doom Cannon pinned down, because it does take out the heavy choppers quite quickly. And after that, switching my shocks to the sniper tower, because obviously bombers are the real heroes in terms of taking down the buildings. So need to ensure that they are healthy enough and they remain alive. And as the troop starts to move upward, I can release a boot of Seekers to take out the ER over here. Generally, one boot of Seekers is enough with a shock. Sometimes there's a bit of health left on the engine room, but since I do have max barrage and max artillery, I can take it down easily if it does have a little bit of health left. And then with like enough bombers in the play and a bit of heavies and heavy chopper, I can just flare the ERs. I still have tick 3 flares, so I do need to flare twice. I think I'll still keep to tick 3 flare just in case some bases require split hit or something like that. But I think with the GB and how I'm using it, I did have enough to manage that hit. 2-minute 3, I'll show this replay because it still is a good time, and this was one of the older layouts, but still quite effective too. And on this one, I'm going back to using 2 boats of bombers and laser ranges. The RLs do pack a punch, so I did opt to shock that while my bombers are working up so that it doesn't kill off all my bombers in one go. And as I'm working through the base, I go ahead shocking the defenses which might be most troubling, just rocket launchers and shock launchers for the laser ranges. And then I'm going to start barting down one ER. This one didn't have a really good barrage job, I think, because I did miss out, if I remember correctly, on the ER overall, and I did have to travel back with my troops. But that was more bad barrage timing for me, and you can see it's just left with that little bit of health. Maybe it would have made some bit of a difference if I had got the barrage down. Maybe it would have been close. I would probably not get it to 14 like my opponent, but obviously I had more defenses to take down too, which hopefully my opponent should have from next time to worry about. So another front compact. This one was slightly easier because it did not have the Doom Cannon under the Sky Shield, so these ones are slightly quicker too, because obviously one less building to take care of, and you have a bit more GB left from the non-use of shocks for the Doom Cannon. And then letting the troops work their way up, and using one boat of Seekers for the ER in the corner. And as soon as the ERs in this front section are done, then I can start flaring my troops, get them to work on the ER, get them to work on the shock launcher a bit, and then just flare the final ERs for a quick time, hopefully. Because obviously if you do end up clearing the entire base, it will be quite slow. So you do need to be a bit more aggressive on your flaring when facing these compacts. 2-minute 3, another spread base, kind of similar to where my opponent had a really great time. And this time I opted to go for bombers, because why not? It is the final few days. It's all about enjoying the troops as best as we can and having fun. I'm letting the bombers clear up the base, and as they start to get into position, I used a boat of Seeker to again take out this corner ER, so that I didn't have to wait for the bombers to get around to travel over there. Then I'm going to BART out the Sky Shield. It takes 2 barrage and 3 artillery if you have them maxed. And once the Sky Shield is down, then I can flare the 2 ERs and hopefully get decent enough time. which in this case was just about sufficient to get the win over my opponent. This was a fully loaded front compact. Even has extra multi-nodes and everything. And I went with the same approach, so I'll just speed it up. But kind of working through the base, keeping the Doom Cannon shot twice usually. That generally gives Kavan enough time to generate some second wins. And then using the shock on the sniper tower, on the Seema, sorry, to take it down as well. And working through the base, letting the troops do their job. And as soon as the frontiers go down, then I can be a bit more aggressive on the flaring. And did bring me this, so I did think that I probably just missed my moment and probably lost out the hit. But I was lucky enough that the opponent was slightly a few more seconds behind me. Otherwise it would have been a really bad loss. And trying to get back into Legendary would have to added another hour to my time, I think. This one really fast time by both of us. But I was just about lucky enough to get the win by 3 seconds. This is kind of similar to the previous hit of the Sky Shielded rocket launcher, Doom Cannon, Zikra in the middle. I'm going to work my way up using lasers and bombers for this hit. And I'll be barting out the corner ER on the right side with my max bart. That's definitely quite useful. Using critters to clear up a few of the mines and hopefully distract the defenses just that slight little bit. This rocket launcher got into range of my bombers, but that's okay. I was lucky enough that one of the heavy choppers stayed in this direction. Otherwise, I would probably have lost out on time, which allowed the bomber to take down the middle ER and for me to bar down the other ER. I think I could have been slightly quicker on the barting over there, but luckily enough, I got the win on that. In terms of the leaderboard, it's definitely had some movement, so great job by Renato. He's in top spot at the moment. Both him and Stone at Legendary 3. That's just fantastic because every win for them is probably like 1 or 2 stars. So like trying to get 120 stars, it is quite a lot unless they match some legendary players who are pushing and they can catch them out. Be generally facing 24s or 25s will probably not be very, very good experience for them. Plus 1 loss can really set them back. This Chinese player also pushed quite a lot yesterday and he's got his like 230. And I think a couple more players are still active, so probably they'll be making the move over the weekend as well. Quite a few players in Legendary now, around 51, so that's not too unexpected, but it generally is a bit of a slower season, I think, as people have had a bit of challenge, plus all the keys that we had to spend at the end of the tree trying to pick up the last 3 nodes, 44, 46, 48 keys. I think that is a bit excessive. Probably Supercell needs to relook at how to balance it out, because even though I got to Diamond relatively early, it's now like the 3rd last day that I've actually picked up these nodes. So people who got to Diamond much later, they might not even be able to complete the full tree. Still have 3 more days to go, so hopefully you can use that to see what are the sort of nodes that you will be able to unlock overall and what will be super helpful. Definitely, if you're not a HC Seeker player, you can probably skip out on Bullet, but getting Kavan, getting rifles, picking up barrage, picking up artillery, picking up critters, along with the GB and the troop damage, that definitely makes you competitive in terms of your offensive capability. Plus obviously then picking up those defense nodes hopefully gets you those few second wins, because it will all be a few second wins for the last 3 days, I expect, unless you're a Seeker player and you can really do the job really well with Bullet. definitely a few of the top leaderboard players are using that. Biggest example being Commander J Doom, who I think is having good success with his Seeker player. And there's a few Chinese accounts too who either are or have been utilizing Seekers too. That's about it for today, folks. All the best for your final push. I think this will be my last video for the season. And looking forward to season 45 in some time.